The Laura Folk Fair has been running for 33 years now and has been particularly popular this year, with crowd numbers hitting 12,000 people across the 2 days. The proposed development will employ up to 15 people. 10 of those will be operating in servicing, with 5 covering car sales. Last year, 35 families living in Port Pirie couldn't afford to pay for school fees, calling on Uniting Care Wesley Country SA for financial support. This year, the number of families desperate for help is expected to double. Up to 50 horses, including Rusty and Princess, will leave Gladstone tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for the first blue ride in the country. The Southern Flinders Club are hoping to raise $2,500 for prostate cancer. We can only blame the increase in vegetation on the significant rainfall that we received earlier in the year. And now it's predicted that this fire season is set to be one of the worst for the state's mid-north. There are 2 initiatives under the BER. These include $2.5 million spent on refurbishing the hall and library. The Gladstone Laura turnoff has been closed for nearly 4 hours, with a heavy vehicle tow truck on its way from Adelaide. A crane will also be used to remove the second damaged vehicle. As we face one of the worst hay fever seasons, we can only blame the wet winter and early warmer temperatures. From 2005 to 2009, a total of 219 casualty crashes were reported, including 16 fatalities. The Blessing of the Fleet has been running for 82 years now in Port Pirie, with more than 2,000 people expected at this year's event. There are at least 4 dogs in the Port Pirie pound every day without a home, so remember to register your dog so you don't risk losing your loved one or copping a fine. Pia Nowland, Southern Cross News. 18-year-old mentor Natasha Morrison is the beatboxing star of the group, which has taken her a lot further than her hometown of Port Pirie. School returns for 2012, with students completing their first day back today, with some more excited than others.
Very tiring, but got to get out of bed early.
And while she had the opportunity, the Deputy Opposition Leader was happy to share her thoughts on last Monday's Labor leadership vote.
Absolutely unprecedented to see the public bloodletting between the warring factions in the Labor Party.
Hundreds of thousands of hoppers blanketing the veranda, the yard, even the shed, anywhere they can enter. Paul Smart is the owner of the Kalunga home and has cleared 20 wheelbarrow loads in just 6 days.
Never been this thick, not around the house and through the yards, just moved like the ground was alive.
What was a pristine green garden has been destroyed. Even the veggie patch has been cleaned out. Local Mel Hosking has lived in the area for 46 years and has never seen anything like it.
They were thick and repulsive and smelly.
Primary Industries and Regions SA has received a number of calls for help from farmers in Kalunga, Nerity and Spalding.
We're pushing to try and get some help from the government so we can spray our bit, and then if we can get a subsidy or a rebate on some chemical, then everybody may have a go at it. Otherwise we're only fighting in our own little patch. If we can spray our bit here, that's fine. But if the neighbour doesn't do his bit, well, at the end of the day, we haven't gained anything.
The answer from the government, not what they were hoping for.
Informed us that there was no funding available for inside country control of the locusts. Generally, they are only concerned with pastoral country, apparently. So therefore it was upon the landholders to control them if we felt it was necessary.
The Australia Plague Locust Commission says most hoppers are in the final stages of development and are expected to start fledging in the next week. But the farmers' calls for help are to control these pests early, before it's too late.
If this hatching comes out sort of October, November, it's going to get into their profit margin with all their crops. The more crop they eat, the less they're going to get out of it. But if they went to Clare and down to Virginia and towards Adelaide, well, there's a lot more people down there that are going to kick up a fuss. So if we can nip it in the butt before it gets that far, well, that's helped them out at the same time.
Pia Nowland, Southern Cross News. Non-stop entertainment for the young and old.
We've got about 120 stalls. We've got folk music, of course, being a folk fair. We've got bush ballad music, country music, and of course it's a great place for folk to come.
The street fair is an annual free event held over Saturday and Sunday. The smiles on the faces of children said it all, with ice cream stands, hot dogs, animal rides and sideshows, and even a fix for thrill seekers. The Laura Folk Fair has been running for 33 years now and has been particularly popular this year, with crowd numbers hitting 12,000 people across the 2 days.
As you look around, there's just people everywhere. We're really trying to get a really good feel and getting people from outside the community in, from all walks of life.
And the 2-day event did just that, a popular weekend meet for those from near and far.
We drove up from Adelaide this morning to spend the day up here. My family used to live here about 40 years ago.
We're from Port Lincoln and we're staying in Jamestown, and we came here to see the folk fair because it's the school holidays. I'm liking the rides. Riding on the camel. We went on the bouncy castle. We've just got off of the camel ride. It's really fun.
It's good fun. You have fun? Yeah.
If you missed out on the fair this year, there's no need for a long face like Gumnut here. The fair will return in April next year. Pia Nowland, Southern Cross News. 35 Mid-North Emergency Service members turned heads with their new look.
Woo. Very short.
Yeah, it's all for a good cause. Definitely worth it.
I've got no feeling on the top of my head at the moment, but
I'm going to give him a cross.
I've got a feeling it'll start getting a lot cooler soon.
Naked, but very good. No, I like it.
It's a small price to pay. We're fundraising for the Leukemia Foundation. My hair's going to grow back, you know. This is my $2,000 haircut.
The world's greatest shave fundraising event, held at the Gladstone Jail, attracted hundreds of supporters who didn't want to miss out on the fun. Some men were brave enough to get their chest waxed. And even dogs were getting in on the action. Organiser Brevet Sergeant Luke Halzo was amazed with the turnout, especially his workmates from across the region who jumped on board.
Everywhere from Port Pirie over to Peterborough and Hallett. And so we've got the local families and communities from all of those towns everywhere in between have turned up. We've had a great barbecue put on by the Lions Club, and absolutely everything tonight that's been provided has been donated.
The Mid-North Emergency Service Team is currently the highest fundraiser in South Australia, hitting well over $30,000. Chrissy Pavlakis from the Leukemia Foundation says the money raised statewide will go towards a patient accommodation service for those who have to travel to Adelaide for treatment.
We have embarked on a project to build a $9 million patient accommodation village in South Australia to be able to provide that service free of charge to regional and rural families.
Also in Port Pirie, Matthew Tyler got rid of his stylish locks, raising over $3,000 for the Leukemia Foundation.
Everyone's really got behind me and really helped, spread awareness and help pull in the donations, which is what they need.
Nationwide, $7 million has been raised so far. Pia Nowland, Southern Cross News. It's definitely the place to be this weekend. The Crystal Brook Motorcycle Club secured this year's spot to host the Bankhead 2011 Australian Motocross Championships. Close to 200 competitors hit the tracks this morning, gearing up for the 3-day event. Graham Eberhard, who organised the entire event, was impressed with the turnout.
The entries we got is some 180 from all over Australia, some 40 from Western Australia, and that brings in over 300 bikes to the event.
The Classic Championships include bikes from 1960 to 1985 with different classes and age groups. Most of the riders are men between 30 and 70 years old. However, 16-year-old Sarah Nee is one of the 2 ladies on the track.
Over where I'm from, Tasmania, there's only a couple of girls there, but I've done this all my life, so I'm usually used to being with all the boys, which is all good fun.
With thousands of spectators arriving from across Australia, Eberhard says this event has also attracted a number of top-class riders.
There's a few from South Australia, Dale Newman and Tom Jones from Clare, who are A-grade motocross riders who have borrowed bikes or bought bikes to come to this event, but many multi-Australian champions from other states who have come to attend this meeting.
Mickey Clark is originally from Texas, but after moving to Jillaby on the Central Coast, he chose to pick up one of his favourite old pastimes 30 years down the track.
I race pre-75 bikes
And in New South Wales, there's not a lot of bikes like that, not a lot of riders. So I come to a place like this, we get 40 riders on the start line, it's fantastic.
It's good news for local businesses as well, as most of the competitors will stay on after Sunday and tour the region.
The economic benefit to Christabrook, Port Pirie, and there's people staying at Port Broughton, so the whole surrounding areas will come, and we've got volunteers who are coming from Gladstone stuff, so everyone benefits from this type of national or any major event that happens in the region.
There's up to 180 riders competing over Friday, Saturday and Sunday. They're hoping to see 1,000 people walk through the gates over the 3-day event. Pia Nowland, Southern Cross News.